would say that there's a lot of nation branding that goes along with it. But one of the things that I found really, really interesting with several of the acts you saw with Voyager.
Perth designer, Perth brand Zhivago. What can I say? Except for extra, read all about it.
And also with Kate Miller-Heidke, where they use clothes as a way of showing other aspects of Australian culture. So Australian designers and things like that. Sort of this nation branding, but with a real focus on the creative industries and doing it in really kind of subtle ways. And the other thing is about cultural connection, because it does bring Australian artists to a completely new audience and starts to get them these kind of global fans. And all of those kind of people-to-people connections are really important and can help to build a nation's image and identity.
The biggest thing is meeting the Eurovision community. I call it the Eurovision family, who are really, really just supportive, and they stay really loyal to your music, and they come to your shows. And I've had fans flying in over from Europe to come to my shows in Australia, and I think that's really so special.
And fans also play a really huge part of that. So, how you behave as a fan while you're at Eurovision does reflect on the country that you're coming from.
Have a look at these fans. There are no fans in the world like Eurovision fans, am I right?
And certainly you can see it in I think it's pretty much every year, but the Australian Embassy will host an event. And so that really kind of underscores the fact that they see it as something that is culturally and politically significant.
It kind of opened the eyes of many European viewers as to see that we have the Australian people that have been represented quite a lot in the Eurovision Song Contest, and also the immigrants, or let's say descendants of immigrants that we have had also in Eurovision, that could be either from European roots but also from Asian countries. So we've had a little bit of everything, and we have seen that Australia is much more than maybe just these blonde people that maybe we think they are in a beach surfing.
Because you are getting judged as a country. We refer to the country when we talk about the performers. But I think a big part of it is about the accountability that SBS has as a public broadcaster, that if they're seen to be wasting that participation, then that's something that actually they are accountable to our government. They have to go to the Senate estimates meeting and they have to talk about their spending and, whether or not Eurovision is a viable investment for the broadcaster and for Australia's public tax monies. I think that's a huge part of it. So that's why this year's entry is really interesting, because I don't feel that they've taken it seriously at all.
I can tell you want a taste of the milkshake man. I can tell you want a taste of the milkshake man.
Milkshake man is a metaphor, and it's like in the second verse I say, the shake is not a drink, it's a state of mind. It's like this ability that we need to unlock in us. It's what humans, and it's like when you figure out how to do that, it's one of the most freeing feelings as a human being, and it's something that I experienced from a young age. From the way I grew up, was very isolated from society, and then when I moved to the cities where it was a dense population, it was kind of hard for me to fit in.
With the early internal selections in particular, even though they wouldn't have necessarily gone, we're only going to pick the people of colour, there was certainly this awareness that there was a burden of representation that was being placed upon the artist, and that SBS had a kind of responsibility to fulfill as well. But it just did also happen that because our first 4 artists were all from music competitions like X Factor and Australian Idol and everything like that, and those competitions were already really diverse, that when you had the people who had that kind of experience of performing in that kind of competition, which makes them really viable for something like Eurovision, those performers were all really of diverse backgrounds. So the pool itself was already kind of skewed towards that diversity. But certainly when the selections came about, Australians really appreciated the fact that there was a diverse representation and that what was being sent abroad was something that was challenging stereotypes of what people might think Australians are like.
And I think that European countries or the other participants of the Eurovision Song Contest gets in return the variety, the difference in culture maybe when it comes to bringing their entries that, as we have seen over the years, have been quite varied. And yeah, we got one more participant and one more layer of diversity.
There are actually a lot more women than people might expect, and a lot more straight people than people might expect here in Australia.
We love it, yeah.
Australians all
It's
love
very
Eurovision.
quiche, but it's fun.
I think it's fantastic. Super kitschy and kind of like over the top, which is entertaining, makes for good TV, and I'd love to go live sometime.
I still don't understand why Australia's a part of Eurovision.
Are they European? No, but it's okay. They were colonized by Europe, I guess.
I know for fans in general around the world, going to Eurovision itself is a kind of pilgrimage and something that everybody wants to experience at least once in their life. And I think that kind of gets exacerbated for Australian fans because it is so far and it is so expensive. And I dare say Philippine and Brazilian fans, because there's huge communities in each of those sites, I think they probably feel the same way.